What is true Tantra and how is it different from sex? How to meet your soulmate, your divine partner. Encounter with extraterrestrials. How to get in contact with them. How do black magicians control the earth? The main weapon of the dark powers. How to deal with any life difficulties. Awakening hidden abilities and understanding the higher laws of the universe. The method of realizing any desire. Eco-village and the space of love. The ancient pagan wedding ritual and conception at the place of power. What a proper wedding should be like for a happy married life. You will find answers to all these questions in the new cartoon, Mystery, an Untold Story of Love. Here is everything you have been looking for. In a picturesque forest clearing by a crackling fire, Naya sat surrounded by her students, answering their questions and explaining the knowledge to them.
Tell me why I was happy in my childhood. And all my friends and acquaintances say that they were happy in their youth. Now, I seem to have everything. A house, a car, a family, a good income. But the state of joy has left me.
That's the problem of all people. The thing is that a child, unlike adults, is still free. He shows his individuality. But as he grows older, adults impose a generally accepted pattern of behavior on him and force him to follow it.
Hey, you! What do you want? Why are you staring at my phone? Hey, lady, take your kid away. He's invading my personal space.
With threats, persuasion, carrying out their desires.
How many times do I have to tell you? Don't go near strangers. How can you be so clueless? Sit still. Enough.
Often the child himself, trying to appear as an adult, copies this pattern from parents and people around him. And gradually he loses himself. His individuality becomes a dead, faceless robot, but like everyone else. But God created him unique. God does not make identical people. He creates bright individualities, but society does not need them. It needs soldiers, all in the same uniform, soullessly following the commands of their superiors and marching in step towards the next massacre. It needs stupid labor force that works hard and fulfills its task.
But not all people accept these templates so easily. There are different youth subcultures. Hippies, punks, emos, gothics. They protest. They just go against the template of a sick society.
Yes, you're right, Ruslan. When a child's mind begins to form, he sees the ugliness of society, its lies, its falsity and mechanics, its lifelessness. He begins, somehow or other, to resist the imposed pattern. But his resistance is spontaneous, unplanned. Often he cannot even formulate it. He simply feels that he cannot and does not want to live like everyone else. But society continues to press from all sides and finishes its dark business. Many teenagers become complacent and become a grey mass, subject to the pattern.
But there are spiritual movements, where people fight the template, develop a real vision of themselves and the world.
Yes, Arthur, there are such movements which the proponents of the system have now labeled as sects and are actively fighting against them. Of course, not every spiritual movement teaches real vision. Most of them have long forgotten about it and teach their own tradition, that is, a slightly different pattern, not very different from the generally accepted one.
But what does one do to free oneself from the pattern?
First of all, It is necessary to study it, i.e., to keep track of patterned thoughts, stereotypical reactions, public opinions, habits, and conditioned emotions. For example, praised, joy, scolded, offense. And it is better to observe oneself when a whole group does it, because from the outside you can see more clearly what you are identified with, what is ruining you. And we can point out to each other these mechanisms built in by upbringing, which are alien to the human soul. We should try to separate ourselves from it, to see it from the outside, to trace how this disease has penetrated us, through whom, through what. And even better, to exaggerate it to the ridiculous and have fun, make jokes about themselves, because laughter, it is the best way to dissociate. It is always difficult to separate ourselves from evil if we take it seriously. Then your individuality will begin to awaken from under the garbage and debris of the pattern, and the happiness and joy of life lost in your youth will begin to return to you again. The feeling of importance, pride, swagger, as well as self-pity, self-humiliation, depression. These are crutches, props on which the templates and stereotypes of society are based, which help the ruling elite to keep everyone in the grip of the dark forces, to suck negative emotions and suffering out of us. Imagine that a healthy person is forced to walk on crutches, saying that it is fashionable, prestigious, that everyone does it. And he learns to walk on crutches, but at the same time, his legs atrophy, and he can't start moving on his own legs right away. He has to learn it all over again. And it's not easy. It takes time. Another plague is the feeling of guilt, which we have been deliberately inculcated by calling some natural manifestations of the essence sinful. If we were indoctrinated that touching the tip of our nose is a sin, we would be afraid to touch it, ashamed of this desire, feeling guilty. So very many harmless human manifestations have been labeled as sinful, such as nudism. A small child wants to walk without clothes. They bother him, but he is instilled with a sense of guilt, and he begins to feel ashamed of his body. Although in many wild tribes people walk naked, and it does not cause a problem for anyone.
But won't they take me to a mental hospital? For example, if I do what I want and stop following patterns, even if it doesn't hurt anyone.
They could take you away as well. A mental hospital is one of the ways to force a person into a pattern.
But what to do then? It turns out that a person can't give up patterns, even if he wants to.
There are 3 ways you can get rid of society's malicious programs and patterns. The first is suicide. Representatives of the emo subculture once talked a lot about it. The second way is to become a hermit, because even in a monastery the priests will impose their templates on a person. And the third way is to become a disciple of Sampo. That is an actor and at the same time a spectator of one's life. A Sampo disciple knows the pattern in himself and in others perfectly well, but for the sake of appearances, he can play the right role to be adequate in any circumstances. But at the same time, he knows that it is a game and remains at every moment a spectator of it. He even becomes a master of such a game and can show himself in any circumstances as it will be necessary. Creating the right opinion about himself, achieving his goals faster. Thus, a person frees himself from templates and at the same time masterfully reproduces any necessary patterns, being able to embody a bum and a minister, a priest and a bandit, a policeman and a club goofball. For this he practices sans theatre, where he learns to enter into any role, not only outwardly but also energetically. For example, if he plays Christ, he tries to match him in his inner state, to abide in love and grace, to spread the teachings.
Well, couldn't we learn Sampo's methods?
Yes. We will learn this system, and right now we'll start playing sans theatre. We'll start with you, Andrej. Get on all fours and walk in circles with the face of a complete idiot.
Me? How? How could I do that? It's...
The main thing is to start. Just do it.
Andrej hesitantly got on all fours and, looking around embarrassed, began to make funny faces. Everyone present laughed out loud.
Stop! Andrej, watch your reactions. Feel how the pattern constrains you. What is preventing you? Tell me.
Well, a sense of importance. I'm the director. It's not my status to behave like that. And then there's the fear of judgment, because I can't be seen as a fool. What if they don't listen to me? What if my companions turn their backs on me?
Well, good self-observation. Now exaggerate the importance, the fear, and laugh at them.
I am important. Very important. Everyone should know how important I am.
It looked very ironic, and all the students again could not hold back their ringing laughter. Andrej himself also began to laugh at the absurdity of his statement.
And now, fear.
Oh, I'm afraid. I'm afraid. Don't judge me.
Well, now you can fill the gap with the template. And it is clear that you have fully identified and considered your role in the firm.
Yes, it's much easier somehow. I had become so attached to the role of director that I didn't even see that it wasn't me.
Good. Now get on all fours again and be a fool.
He was no longer embarrassed as he had been at first. He didn't look at anyone and started to fool around. The others even began to get the impression that he had really lost his mind.
Good, very good. Now, Arthur, play a drunken bum and speak rudely about Alice.
Me? In our extreme times, when the fate of the entire planet is at stake, it is crucial for the knowledge of angels and benevolent spirits to spread as quickly as possible, globally, and reach thousands of people. In this way, we can change the future of all humanity. Which is why we are addressing you, dear soul of light. Spread the knowledge about our wise books and films. Share links to videos or cartoons. All of this is available and free. Invite women to individual practices, webinars, and seminars. and the Great Spirit of Light will help you and your family. It will direct an enormous amount of energy to fulfill all your desires. Benevolent spirits and angels will assist you and your loved ones in all matters. A thread of light and love extends from your heart to the hearts of thirsty women, and the creation of good and the dissemination of enlightened knowledge throughout the world begins. Become part of the mission of light. Help people, and God will help you.